If you are leading large internal or external investigations, you know about the importance of keeping the big picture. But how to manage in times when exactly that key element seems to be a challenge? Let's pick a few thoughts about that in today's episode. Great to have you here.
Corporate integrity, fraud, non-compliance, and cybersecurity. Would you like to understand the root causes, detect threats, and take measurements to protect the most precious assets? As a leader, you need to be prepared and stay actionable in the event of an incident. Sonja Stirnimann talks in her podcast, The Human Factor. Corporate integrity matters. To leaders and entrepreneurs who want to have impact, foster corporate integrity, and act as role models. As an international expert for corporate governance and integrity, entrepreneur, and independent board member, she knows the challenges. Let her inspire you.
Welcome back to this new episode of the podcast, The Human Factor, Corporate Integrity Matters. You might be a board member, an investigator, an auditor, external or internal, a corporate integrity leader, or on your way there. What we all have in common, we strive for leadership with integrity. I'm your mentor and sparring partner when it comes to corporate integrity with impact. Founder of Corporate Integrity Concepts with the different formats for corporate integrity leadership. And the vision to protect and secure assets, reputation and actionability, yours and the one of your organization. Why? Because corporate integrity matters to all of us. No matter for what we are responsible, if we have the big picture, all is fine. Very simple, but so true, and I will tell you in a few minutes when I heard first about that in my career. One of our community members in the leadership circle was quite exhausted a few weeks ago when we last met for our final virtual meeting in 2021. He started explaining how one of his global investigations with several countries involved work, or better not work, and suddenly he said, I lost the big picture. We had a long, deep, and very constructive discussion in this mastermind, and also the other attendees learned a lot about managing ourselves and keeping the big picture. No matter what project it is, not only related to investigations, the ability to keep the big picture helps any leader on a daily basis. Often the sentence is understood as a quick win, but there is much more behind. No, I will not be able to go into all the details today, but for sure in our next workshop, it is important to ask ourselves, what kind of hindering beliefs do I have when I hear the request of keeping the big picture? Do I feel offended? And if so, why? Another excuse I hear is that not everybody needs to have the big picture. Is that true? Or are there many different big pictures? Just as an example, a student needs to keep the big picture for her field of responsibility, same as every manager or leader has to. The definition of the big picture is manifold and needs to be seen in the competences and responsibilities of the individual itself. I promised to talk about the moment when I heard the expression the first time. It was in 1992 and I was in internal audit. Yes, trained but unexperienced and eager to learn. Next to our planned internal audit work, we had to conduct an internal investigation due to a misconduct. It was my first investigation, and with that, my passion was ignited. My superior, 20 years older, taught me her most important principle: keep the big picture. With that leading sentence, she supervised and especially challenged my work and outlined the pitfalls and risks. Let's now talk about areas when the big picture could be at risk. I only selected 3 different focus areas, knowing that we as humans are happy by not receiving too much information at once. The 3 are process, people, product. Let's start with the process. We already discussed the process around investigations in other episodes, like, for example, number 26. The processes during an investigation are often very dynamic and iterative, but the clearer the overall process from strategy to staffing to analyze to review to report, or the easier it is to keep the big picture. The core process of an investigation must be clearly outlined to all the involved parties, also the client. No matter whether it is an internal or an external client, needs to understand the path you go with your team during the investigation. Not mastering the process will not allow you getting and keeping the big picture. The second part, or the second out of the three, are the people. Having different types of experts in the investigation team and also at different times, all of those needs to understand the process as mentioned before. And you, as the responsible one, need to manage the team, the staffing, and the task allocation. With every change in the hypothesis you do during that investigation, you rethink what needs to be done, by whom, and at what time. Underestimating that fast-moving responsibility could put your big picture at risk in no time. The third one is the product. The deliverable of an investigation is the investigation report. We all know what it means to bring together all the findings to a consistent overall report. Many experts reviewed, analyzed information, and came up with findings. With every expert, another style. That's what I experience. How are you now managing your product and the goal you want to achieve? What are the rules and guidelines within the team to allow the professional, consistent report of your investigation? How do you make sure that everything fits together somehow? The more precise the team is instructed about the investigation, but also the report writing process, the better you can keep the big picture over the findings and how these are taken up in the final product, the investigation report. These were only 3 areas: process, people, and product. And I am convinced that with every reflection we spend on those, our big picture can be achieved and kept. Keeping these questions and information for ourselves only will not train your people, peers, and other involved parties. Without having a superior telling me her principle of keeping the big picture, maybe I wouldn't talk about that today. So I'm really thankful that she told me that 30 years ago. Sharing is caring, and maybe you can help someone out there too. It was the episode number 44 of the Human Factor Corporate Integrity Matters. Following the motto, corporate integrity secures and empowers individuals and organizations. Thank you for listening. My name is Sonja Stirnimann, and I'm your host. Stay curious, actionable, and a role model. Take care and goodbye. Would you like to learn more, meet peers, and getting qualified? So visit the website Corporate Integrity Concepts or Corporate Integrity Academy. Or do you think this podcast could be interesting for someone you know? Sharing is caring, and we are always happy to welcome your peers to our community. And if you like this episode, subscribe and don't miss any of the future ones. The show notes are, of course, enriched with relevant information, and your connection via any of the social media channels is highly appreciated and will be answered. Promised. And please do not forget, topics of your interest or interview partners are highly welcome. Just send me a note on any of the channels you know.